This was written sometime around 1404. In over 600 years, no translation has ever gained scholarly consensus, not one sentence, not one word. The illustrations show plants that don't exist in nature, women bathing in pools of green liquid, and star charts of a sky that has never been observed from any point on Earth. The script runs left to right, 20 to 30 unique symbols, consistent across 240 pages, and structurally, measurably, it behaves like a real language, one that no human being has ever spoken out loud. It sits in a climate-controlled vault at Yale University right now, and nobody, not Enigma codebreakers, not NSA cryptologists, not artificial intelligence has read it. The Voynich Manuscript is officially catalogued as Binica MS 408, to 240 pages of vellum, 6 apparent sections: herbal, astronomical, biological, cosmological, pharmaceutical, recipes, and not one of them matches any known medieval tradition. William Friedman, the cryptologist who broke Japan's purple cipher in the Second World War, and who built the NSA's code-breaking division from the ground up, spent years on the Voynich. He concluded it was probably a constructed language. He died without cracking it. In 2013, physicist Marcello Montemuro at the University of Manchester ran statistical analysis on the full text and found it carries genuine semantic structure. The information is distributed in clusters consistent with meaningful language, not random noise. That finding made the mystery harder, not easier. 6 years later, Greg Kondrack's machine learning analysis found the text has unusually low word entropy, far fewer unique words than any natural language. Either the vocabulary was deliberately constrained, or the text is a cipher built from a limited codebook. One symbol cluster, which researchers call Dain, appears over 800 times throughout the manuscript, too frequent to be a content word, possibly a grammatical particle, possibly a cipher component. Either way, it is the most common sequence in a text nobody can read. The Voynich Manuscript is not famous because it is mysterious. It is famous because every tool humanity has built to understand language has broken against it, and that pattern begins with the first person who ever tried. The first confirmed owner was Rudolf II, the Holy Roman Emperor who ruled from Prague Castle and spent his reign surrounding himself with astronomers, alchemists, and collectors of forbidden knowledge. He would have paid almost anything for a book nobody else could read. Rudolf's court included Tycho Brahe, who mapped the heavens from his rooftop, and a rotating cast of alchemists searching for the Philosopher's Stone. The Voynich Manuscript, whatever it was, would have been exactly the kind of object Rudolf paid fortunes to acquire. In 1639, a Prague alchemist named Georg Beresch wrote to the most famous linguist in Europe begging for help. He had owned the manuscript for years. He described it as taking up space uselessly in my library. He had spent years on it and read nothing. Athanasius Kircher claimed he could read Egyptian hieroglyphics, decode Chinese script, and reconstruct the language of ancient Persia. He was the foremost linguistic authority of his century. When Beresch sent him the manuscript, Kircher acknowledged receiving it, and then said nothing more. No analysis, no attempt on record. The most learned man in Europe filed it away in silence. Beresch wrote again and again. The letters survive. Kircher's engagement does not. Scholars who have reviewed Kircher's archives find no evidence he seriously attempted to work on the text. He simply never replied, and Beresch died in 1662 without answers. In 1912, a Polish-American book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich found the manuscript buried in a trunk at a Jesuit college near Rome. He brought it to America and spent the rest of his life trying to prove it was written by Roger Bacon, the 13th century scientist who died over a century before the vellum was made. Wilfrid died in 1930, still believing in Bacon. His wife Ethel, a novelist who outlived him by 30 years, continued the research until she died in 1960. In 1944, she donated the manuscript to Yale with one condition: it must remain accessible to researchers and never sold. Neither of them ever read a word. Yale placed it in the Binica Rare Book Library, where it has been studied continuously ever since. The names of the people who failed to read it fill a library of their own. In 2009, the University of Arizona's radiocarbon lab tested 4 vellum samples. The result was unambiguous. The parchment dates to between 1404 and 1438. Macron Associates then confirmed the ink chemistry, iron gall and carbon-based pigments consistent across all 240 pages, all sections, one period, one production, one sustained deliberate effort. In 2020, manuscript scholar Lisa Fagin Davis published a detailed palaeographic analysis confirming at least 2 distinct scribal hands in the manuscript, different pen angles, subtle letterform variations. This was a collaborative production, which makes the absence of any key document even harder to explain. The herbal section contains 113 plant illustrations. Botanists have examined every one. A small number bear passing resemblance to known species. Every one is distorted in ways that prevent positive identification. Some look European, some suggest Asia, some resemble plants that would not be recorded until European contact with the Americas, a century after this vellum was made. The single most extraordinary page in the manuscript is the nine-rosette fold-out, a map of 9 connected forms, each containing castles, waterways, and what appear to be cities. None of them match any known geography anywhere on Earth. The astronomical section shows recognizable zodiac signs, but the outer ring of each contains between 28 and 30 small human figures. No known medieval astronomical tradition uses this structure. Whoever designed this was working from a system no surviving text describes. In 2003, researcher Gordon Rugg proposed the text could have been generated using a card and grill, a card with cut holes slid across a table of syllables, producing output that statistically mimics natural language. He demonstrated the method is technically capable of producing Voynich-like text. For a moment it appeared the mystery had a mundane answer, an elaborate meaningless Renaissance hoax. Rugg himself later pulled back from the strongest version of that claim. The hoax theory has a deeper problem. The forensic record shows consistent ink and pen pressure across all 240 pages. The illustrations alone, 113 botanical drawings, dozens of astronomical diagrams, the fold-out map, represent years of sustained labor. Nobody builds a 240-page illustrated deception with no audience and no payoff. The manuscript ends in the middle of page 240. No conclusion, no author's mark, no closing line. The text simply stops, as if the person writing it was interrupted or finished and simply walked away. In 2013, botanists Arthur Tucker and Rexford Talbot identified several Voynich plants as possible New World species, and proposed the manuscript originated in colonial Mexico. The carbon dating rules this out entirely. The vellum predates European contact with the Americas by over 80 years. The plants may resemble New World species. The author could not have seen them. Here is what the forensic record actually confirms. Real vellum, real ink, real grammar-like structure. 2 real scribes, a real map of places that don't exist, real plants that can't be found. The text follows Zipf's law, the same mathematical distribution that governs every natural human language. This is not accidental variation. The text is structured like language. It is just not any language the field of linguistics has a name for. The word cluster dein appears 800 times. No known natural language has a single particle that frequent. Either this is a grammatical function word so common it appears everywhere, or someone built a code around a repeating element and never told anyone what it meant. Recent computational work drawing on network analysis of word order patterns has found structural similarities to isolating languages, where word position carries grammatical meaning rather than word endings. Languages like Vietnamese or Classical Chinese. The manuscript may belong to a language family that simply never developed a writing system anyone else preserved. In 2020, multispectral imaging of folio F1R revealed traces of earlier text beneath the visible script. Someone scraped the parchment and rewrote it. The manuscript was edited, which means whoever made this cared enough about its accuracy to correct it. Someone spent years at a desk filling 240 pages with a language they understood completely. They corrected their mistakes, they illustrated with care, and then they stopped and the language died with them. 3 theories have survived 6 centuries of scrutiny. Here is what the evidence actually points to, and here is where each one breaks. Theory 1. Elaborate hoax. A Renaissance-era forger created meaningless text to sell to a wealthy collector like Rudolph II. The statistical mimicry of language was intentional, designed to convince, not communicate. The card and grill experiment shows this is technically possible, but the forensic consistency across 240 pages argues against it. More importantly, hoaxes are built for audiences. This manuscript has no evidence of ever being shown to anyone until Baresh found it. Nobody builds a 240-page illustrated deception with no audience and no payoff. Theory 2. A personal constructed language, created by a single individual, possibly a woman, to encode private medical knowledge from church or institutional authority. The hypothesis that the biological section is a women's health manual, medicinal baths, gynecological observations, pharmaceutical recipes in private shorthand, has circulated among researchers for decades. The structural parallel most often cited is Hildegard von Bingen's lingua ignota, a 12th century constructed language made by a woman to protect spiritual knowledge. Hildegard left a glossary. This author left nothing. The theory explains the biological and pharmaceutical sections reasonably well. It explains the nine-rosette map not at all. Theory 3. The leading consensus. A genuine unknown natural language, or a heavily abbreviated shorthand of one from a Central or Eastern European tradition that produced no other surviving written record. 2 scribes, a consistent grammar-like structure. A real production for a real purpose, medicinal, philosophical, or scientific, that died when its last reader died. Every metric points here: the statistical structure, the palaeographic evidence, the ink consistency, the 2-scribe collaboration. This is what a real working manuscript looks like. Here is what the leading theory cannot explain. A personal medical manual in a lost regional language does not require a map. It does not require a cosmological fold out of 9 impossible cities. It does not require astronomical diagrams of zodiac systems that match no medieval tradition. Whatever the Voynich Manuscript is, it is not only a health manual. The most honest position the evidence supports is this. A real person, working with at least one collaborator, produced a real document in a real language for a purpose that extended beyond personal record keeping, and the key to reading it either never existed in written form or has not survived. Since 2020, the pace of Voynich research has accelerated. Lisa Fagin Davis's palaeographic study gave the 2-scribe hypothesis its most rigorous foundation yet, and raised the possibility that the scribes worked in sequence, not simultaneously, with the later scribe possibly adding or correcting material. Yale's multispectral imaging program, ongoing since 2014, has now scanned the majority of the manuscript. The 2020 discovery of undertext on folio F1R is the most significant physical finding in decades. It proves the manuscript was not produced in a single uninterrupted effort, but revised. The strongest current linguistic evidence suggests the Voynich text belongs to a real but unclassified language family, not a cipher, not a hoax, not a constructed language, but an organic writing system that developed independently and left no other trace. Whether that trace can still be found in an unexcavated archive, an unstudied dialect, a misattributed manuscript, is the question driving current research. The answer may already exist in a European archive that has never been fully digitized. Hundreds of thousands of medieval manuscripts remain unread, not because they are coded, but because no one has looked at them yet. The Voynich key may be sitting in a box in a monastery that nobody has catalogued. We know the names of everyone who failed: Baresh, who owned it for decades; Kircher, who received the letters and said nothing; Friedman, who built modern cryptography and still found nothing. We have documented 6 centuries of intelligent, determined failure. Wilfrid Voynich, Ethel Voynich, together they gave 30 years to a book that outlived both of them. The manuscript is still there at Yale, unchanged. The people are gone. We do not know the name of the person who wrote it. They spent years at that desk. They corrected their mistakes. They mapped cities they knew well enough to name. And then the language they used, the one language only they could read, died when they did. Somewhere in those 170,000 characters, a person is still speaking. We just haven't learned to listen yet. Now I need your verdict. Was it a lost natural language from a tradition that vanished without a trace, a personal cipher built to protect forbidden knowledge, or something investigators have not yet considered? Drop your argument below. The best one goes in next week's community post. If you made it this far, you know this channel goes places most history content won't. If that matters, subscribe, like, turn on the bell.